Hello, it's Natasha. Thanks for joining me. I have a yoga wheel drill class. We're going to get started right away. So come to a seated position on your yoga wheel. Take note, mine is 15 inches, so it's quite large. Yours is most likely 12 inches. You might need to adjust the poses as necessary. Come into a back bend. Allow yourself to relax over the wheel. And we're simply going to rock back and forth. So we're going to try to dip down to our knees, stretching the quads and the hip flexors, rolling to your knees and a nice toe stretch, and then rolling back and seeing if you can tap your elbows. Of course, these are quite deep back bends, so just see where you're at. Maybe by the end of the minute, you'll be able to hit the knees and toes, but take your time to get there. Make sure you're breathing, following the breath, and listening to your body. Come on those tiptoes, tap the knees towards the floor, roll back. You're grabbing on, so you're getting a really nice thoracic and shoulder stretch. The head can rest right on the wheel. Really explore little movements of maybe lifting the hips when you get to the bottom, pulling yourself away. Relaxing and pressing into those forearms, maybe lifting the hips there. And that's your minute. We'll have just a quick 15 seconds in between. We're going to stay in the same position, balancing leg lifts into a crunch. It's harder than it looks, so we're going to try to hold our body into a nice position on the wheel and start to lift one leg at a time. To make this a little more challenging, you can be up on your toes, or you can have a flat foot down once both legs have lifted. A little curl, crunch, shoulders lift, tuck the chin. One leg at a time, extend and balance. Really pull the belly towards the spine and firm the quads and hip flexors, active as you lift, and then crunch at the top. Find your fullest extension. Make it an active range of motion that takes effort. You're really active through the core to keep and maintain this balance. Like I said, it's a little trickier than it looks, especially if you have a lightweight wheel like mine is, pretty wobbly. And break. Moving into hip thrusters. So essentially we're going to squat down, butt to heels, and then thrust the hips up, like a little reverse table. So this time the wheel is a little higher up on your shoulders. And here we go. We're going to dip and thrust. Inhale to heels, dip down and thrust up. Proud heart, hips lift, glutes and hamstrings engage. Take your time, really go through the motions and imagine you're pressing through water, so you're using that active engagement, not just swinging down and up. An idea here, you might want to go through these drills twice through. This round can be your practice round, and the next one you really push for strength and flexibility. Some options here, maybe lift your heels beyond your tippy toes. And you can extend your arms over the head to make this a little more challenging as well, so you truly have to balance. Get on your feet. Pick a leg for a single leg deadlift to a lunge. This minute will stay on one side. The following minute will go to the other foot. Top of the foot comes up onto the wheel. We're going to hip hinge on the deadlift. Go, touch the ground, and then stretch the leg back, bend the front knee. Hinge forward, one deadlift, one rolling back lunge. And you can challenge your flexibility as you get a little more mobile. Try to stretch your leg further back away on the lunge. Nice flat back hip hinge. Stretch. Maybe the arms come up or to the head on that lunge back. At any point you feel like you're losing your balance, just step off. Sometimes we need to readjust our wheel, it can start going sideways or even fall. So take your time to make sure you feel stable in these exercises. You have plenty of time to get back into the drill. Beautiful job. 15 seconds transition. We're just switching legs this time. Set your other foot up on top of the foot down. Hip hinge deadlift to rolling out lunge. Go. Tap down, roll back. Don't forget to breathe and really connect to the breath. Use that strength on the deadlift and then that strength along with flexibility to open up on the lunge. So we're trying to explore a deeper range of motion as you go through this minute. Bigger extension. Stretch the arms up, maybe even beyond the ears, reaching back. And break. Come on down to a kneeling position with the wheel in front of you. Camel back bend, rolling forward to a chin stand. Bring the wheel right by your body. You can put your hands up on it and then back bend, heart to sky. Go. Roll forward, bring your hands down and then elbows to ribs as you try to squeeze your legs up using your posterior chain, your hamstrings, your glutes, your back body. And we're just rolling back and forth. Take your time on this one, especially if you're going for those deeper back bends. Breathe. These back bends can be pretty intense, so follow your breath and listen to your body. They don't have to be super deep. Press your hips forward into the wheel. Lift your chest up. Engage your glutes on that camel. You can even go all the way back there if you'd like to tap your head back. And then if you're super flexible, maybe you reach those toes for head or up towards the sky. Awesome job. Take a moment to decompress in a quick child's pose before we move on to a super tough one. We're going to a plank pose. Feel free to hit pause if you need more time. Pick a leg again to start with, and top of the foot comes down. This time you're in plank. You're going to tuck, and try to lift your hips. So tuck the wheel in, tuck the other leg in, lift and lower. We'll only do a few on each side. So at the 30-second point or when you just can't do anymore, you can switch sides because these are really tough. Spread your fingers, push the shoulders down. So here I'm going to set up to switch my legs, other foot on, come into plank. We have that tuck, and then hip lift. So roll the wheel in, your other knee in, and then lift and lower the hips. Again, and this is quite hard. Don't feel bad if you can't do it. And that floating knee, that foot might tap down on the floor to take a little moment if you need it. All right. Make sure you take a second to shake out the wrists, give them a little love here. We are coming into a rolling side plank. You're going to set your hip up. This one might start out a little awkward until you find the right placement on your body. Kind of drape your side body over. Go. Roll up and try to abduct leg lift. I think it's helpful if the bottom leg is forward and then you try to lift and press into the hand and lift the top leg. So that bottom hand can stay connected, or you can lift off into a little side squat and then press up. We're staying on one side the whole time, so you'll have time to adjust. It was a little challenging at first until I got my body placement correct. And then your other option is to try to lift away from the wheel and lift into a side plank unsupported. So you start on it and then you try to push your shoulder down, lift the hips off of the wheel. Side plank, star, lift. Strong shoulders, obliques. Press into that bottom foot, lift the hips. Beautiful. All right, we're switching sides. Come on to the other side. One side might feel a little bit easier or you're more in control on one side. Go ahead and drape your body over, find that nice placement. The bottom foot will be forward. Roll, go. Roll to elevated abduction leg lift. So you can stay on the wheel to start, and that bottom elbow might bend if you have a lower wheel. And then you can try to push off of the wheel into that lifted side plank star. Abduct and push off. You're pushing the shoulder down, you're really pulling the belly and cinching that lower waistline to lift into a side plank. Dip down and squat, heel, butt towards heels, and then lift and press up into side plank. Try to make this fluid and graceful, even if you're kind of falling all over the place. You got this. Few more seconds. Make this one your best. And rest. Our final drill. Come back into a seated position like we began. We're going to forward fold and reverse curl into a plow or like a reverse curl abdominal lift. Fold and lift. Stack the spine, pull the hips forward, release over the wheel. You can grab on to the wheel and try to lift your legs and then reach your feet over the head. They don't have to touch all the way down, and you'll have plenty of time. We're actually going to go longer than the minute on this one. So we'll lift up, stack the spine, forward fold, lift up, push the hips forward, roll down the wheel, maybe grab onto it if you can, and drop into the forearms as you lift the legs and try to peel the spine off. You could end up in like a forearm stand or a headstand, but just listen to your body. There's not that much weight in the head. Your forearms are there. So if you're not flexible enough to grab the wheel behind you yet, just do the best you can to maybe bring your hands down like you're doing a tripod. So we're going to continue even though the minute expired. Kind of feel out each of the shapes. You're making that hollow back positioning on top. You're squeezing up to straighten the spine. A lot of core, forward fold stretch. Lift and stack, pull the hips forward, roll down, either hands down or grab onto the wheel. Here I just put my hands down, so that's your option, and you can try to reverse curl. I'm going to try to go into a crow pose now. So I rolled myself off the wheel, tucked my knees into my chest, and slowly push into my fingers and shoulders as I lift into crow pose. Quite advanced. You can explore shapes and play. That was the circuit. Feel free to repeat it. And thank you so much for joining me. Please leave me a comment. Let me know how it went, and I'll see you in the next class.